First, a boon for big business. The federal government announced today a multi-million-dollar loan program specifically for large-scale employers. Companies with annual revenue over $300 million that employ a large number of Canadians and are seeking $60 million or more can apply. But the money comes with strings attached. Companies will need to share financial information, show how they will retain employees, commit to environmental efforts, and limit how much money goes to executives. Financial sector businesses or those who have been convicted of tax frauds are obviously not eligible. So is this program too restrictive, and will it keep Canada's largest employers afloat? Let's get some answers with Innovation Minister Navdeep Bains. He joins us from Mississauga. Welcome, Minister Bains. Nice to have you on the show. I want to start with the Prime Minister today. He insisted, as he unveiled the package for big businesses, that this is not a bailout. It is loans, obviously repayable. Is it so politically dangerous, and I won't go as far as saying, political kryptonite, to announce aid to big businesses? How is this not a bailout?
This has been a consistent approach our government has taken, which is it's about Canadian workers and preserving jobs. We recognize that large companies employ millions of Canadians, so it's incumbent upon us to make sure that they remain operational through this difficult time. And providing this bridge financing will enable them to maintain investments, maintain employment levels. And so that's why we're moving forward with this package to support large companies in order to protect good quality Canadian jobs.
And there are strings attached, Minister. You have to respect the collective agreements, pensions.
Right.
None of the loans should go to paying off fat bonuses for executives. But, will a company you give these loans to be able to buy back shares in the company while they still owe the money to the government?
So the company, the way we've structured the term sheet, they're not able to buy back shares. They're not able to proceed with dividends. As you mentioned, this is not about significant executive compensation. This is providing liquidity, the capital that these companies need that they were unable to secure in the private capital markets. And they've come to us so we can provide this bridge financing in order for them to be able to come out of this crisis and ultimately pay us back. And once they pay us back, then they can be governed by a different set of rules. But when they're taking taxpayers' money to have capital invested in them, then these are some of the conditions we put forward, including the fact that they must also have a plan when it comes to environmental policies.
And how are you going to enforce all that? I'm wondering, because there are a lot of strings attached. It's obviously something you have been, thinking about. But how are you going to implement it, and how are you going to supervise it?
Well, we're going to have very clear term sheets. We're going to be upfront with Canadians and with these companies what the expectations are if they're able to get a loan from us. And we know that they're going through a difficult time. We know that this crisis came upon these businesses and has impacted not only their operations, but impacted employees as well. And for us, it's important not only to support these large businesses that employ Canadian workers, but also the supply chains, the smaller businesses that are impacted by these investments and by these corporations as well. So from our perspective, we know that we have to think through this crisis, but also come out of this crisis stronger and better and more competitive. And making these investments now with these terms are going to be important, and we're going to be upfront with Canadian companies and with Canadians.
So in your estimate, Minister, how much will this program cost taxpayers? What are you looking at here?
So this program is available to all sectors and all businesses across the Canadian economy. We're going to be looking at it on a case-by-case basis. So it's difficult to say at this moment exactly the number of companies and how much money they request, because the onus is on the company to demonstrate that they've gone to the capital markets and have exhausted all their options, looked at other possibilities of acquiring financing. And because they're unable to get that additional financing, they've come to us, and then we will make sure that we structure a deal in such a manner where they understand our requirements, but we'll share that with Canadians as well. So it's difficult at this time with any level of precision to say how much this will cost.
But So you've got no idea what we're talking about here. If it's $5 billion, $1 billion, how many companies? You're just opening this out there, and no idea how much this will cost?
No, it's a great question, Joyce. The reason why it is very difficult at any point in time to determine the exact amount is because the situation is very fluid. The dynamics in the economy continue to change within the Canadian context and globally as well. As we reopen the economy, how will consumers behave? What impact will that have on demand? What kind of decisions will companies make? What kind of risk tolerance will financial institutions have in terms of the investments they make? All this is a bit unpredictable at this stage. So the costing will vary. From our perspective, what we're saying is this will be open to all sectors in all aspects of the Canadian economy, and we will evaluate each and every single case based on its merit, and then we'll share that information with Canadians.
When are you expecting? When are you expecting the first? I just have a couple of seconds left, but I just wonder, when are you expecting the first companies to come forward? When are you expecting the first loans to go out?
So we expect to move forward with this program in a matter of weeks. We'll work with the companies to understand their needs. But bottom line, this is about preserving Canadian jobs. This is about preserving investments here in Canada and ultimately helping us through the economic recovery and rebound when that takes place in the coming weeks and months.
Industry Minister Navdeep Bains, thanks for sharing this with us.
Thanks, Joyce.